What's up, everybody? This is PC from Paula's Purse, where the bag is always filled with topics to discuss. All right, first things first. Shout out to the Texans. Shout out to the Texans. It was a great season. You guys did better than you did last year. And obviously, a lot of people are hurt, including myself. But you know what's funny is those who are supposed to not be fans seem to be more hurt than the real fans. But it is what it is. It's okay. Shout out to everyone. That's all I can say. Great example of men. That's what I saw this season. Great example of young men who could be doing anything jacked up in the world, but they seem to do as I do and put God first over everything, and that includes football. Now, a lot of people, boy, I tell you, I was reading comments and a lot of people had some negative things to say. Like 99% of the comments were negative. And that is wild to me. 99%, 95% of the comments are just negative. Just negative. And it says a lot about the person who's leaving the comments. It does. Because I think like this: you put a lot into the comment, you say a lot of negative things about CJ, but CJ's never going to read that. He's none the wiser, could care less, right? He has the job to do. And another thing that I thought about was these football teams, they are $100 billion companies, franchises. Then I found out that the revenue that each team makes from the NFL with their commercials and their logos and everything that they sell. Well, every team gets $445 million, right? Somewhere in that area. 45% of that goes to the players and their salaries, and the remaining part of that stays with the owner. So we're talking billions and billions of dollars, right? And you ask young men to basically run your franchise, your corporation, your LLC, your business, whatever you want to call it. And I think CJ did a hell of a job. That's a lot of pressure, right? And me being an athlete, but never on that level, um, I was a high jumper, long jumper, triple jumper, basketball player, volleyball player, and every one of those require um, physical and mental toughness, right? To win. And you are as good as you are at that moment, right? You are as good as you are at that moment, and anyone can be beat, right? I learned that as a kid. When it comes to fighting, physically fighting, anyone can be beat. With that being said, this year we hit a lot of first for the Texans. And we went further than we did the first 3 years that when CJ came into the league, right? So that's a first and that's a plus. Now, mind you, we lost to New England. Had we won, we would have played Denver, right? And say we beat Denver, then we would have played the winner out the the NFC. So we were 3 games away from winning the Super Bowl. That's close. That's close. Um, I hoped that losing Nico Collins wouldn't be a problem, but you can never replace Nico Collins. You just you can't do it. And we have relied on our young players all season, and they stepped up and they did a great job because, uh, is my understanding, when you come into the league, for the most part, you come in and you have people ahead of you, right? And they are already doing that job, and you can get your training in and watch them as they do the job that you will eventually step into. But what happened this year, all of our young people had to step up, and they did a great job in spite of what a lot of people are saying, right? It's easy to kick someone when they're down, right? It's so easy to do that. It's so easy to do that. But I was reading a lot of the comments, and I was just thinking about the scripture where it says, the same yardstick or same measurement or the same judgment you give out, right? Say you use a ruler and you give out this much of judgment, then the Bible says this much of judgment God is going to give back to you. So, um, we all have to be careful. It says the same judgment measurement that you give out will be the same measurement God gives back to you. So, um, and I don't know, I can't imagine these people ever being fans. How can you be a fan until the team loses? Then you you probably have never been a fan. All right, so we're gonna keep it moving. But I did want to say, it was awesome, and I was laying in bed thinking, okay, what do I do now with my pastime? I'll do what I'm doing right now. Yeah, so we're gonna check that box for the Texans, and thank you for a great season. I can't imagine being 24 and I'm in charge of someone's $1 billion corporation. I can't imagine that. I don't know if I would even want to wear those shoes. Um, so be careful what you say. Moving on. Now, I did want to talk about Cardi B and Stefan Diggs and all these kids and what's going on, and not to be I heard someone speaking yesterday, and she was on Cam Newton, excuse me, and she made a lot of good points. And I will say, she was speaking about Cardi B, right, and her husband. And the point that she was making was so profound because she said Cardi B had no kids. She wasn't married, and she was ascending in her career. And Offset had kids and baby mamas and drama for days. Like Cardi B was here, she was ascending, and he was like this because he just creating babies and leaving babies in homes and not being there, because you can't be 12 places at one time, meaning if you have 12 kids, you can only see one. You can't be everywhere. You got 12 kids, 12 baby mamas, and I'm just saying in general, right? You can't give them what they need. You just can't do it. And the point she was making about Cardi B and Offset, he just made Cardi B another baby mama. That's it. And he's on to the next one, which tells me that Cardi B, you were fine without him. You were already fine without him, but you you thought that you needed that. And the need wasn't on your behalf. You didn't need him. He needed you. When you got with him and married him, you took him there with you. Meanwhile, he's still making babies on you and cheating behind your back. Now, that kind of stuff, you have to know when to walk away, right? You got to know when to walk away. And I'm going to tell you, I am celibate for that reason and that reason alone. So I was watching a young lady and she made some great points. And you should choose your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever um, wisely, right? Um, I take my son, for example. He's intelligent, graduated magna cum laude, has a degree. He's been to 10 countries. He's doing well for himself. So he's a good catch. And a good woman would be perfect for him because he's a good catch. But if the man isn't a good catch, do your heart and your body a favor and keep it going. I was reading something in the Bible and it talked about tall, dark, and handsome. Those are not the qualities to look for in a man. It isn't. Now, last year, I probably would have said, now I'm 5'10", so naturally I want someone taller than me. But tall, dark, and handsome has been a saying in the black community as long as I've been alive. But in the Bible, it says to stray away from that. That's what it says. To stray away from the tall, dark, and handsome. A lot of times that's the devil, right? That doesn't mean to go dating a octopus, as beautiful as octopuses are, but they're scary at the same time. Now, don't go picking the ugliest man in the room, but just be mindful not to get caught up in the tall, dark, and handsome syndrome. If you don't believe me, go to the Bible and check it out. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. I want to talk to you ladies about STDs, and it's 2026. I went in for my checkup, and my nurse practitioner, her name is Paula, and we were talking. My name's, yeah, I'm PC. We were talking, and when we're talking while we're going through our examination, and she asks you to stick your arms out because they're looking for spots in your hands and on your body, and on your feet, because those are clear indications um, that you have syphilis. When you have a lot of marks, and I saw a guy that had a lot of marks all over, right? And you see women with it, and sometimes you think it's because they pick in their face and it leaves the black mark because the bump explodes under your skin, but that's not it. You see someone with the black marks, circular marks all over their outer body parts, they have syphilis. Um, the other thing, and I said it's 2026, but I did a little bit on AIDS about 3 years ago, and as long as AIDS been out, we've been talking about it. I've been an advocate. I used to walk neighborhoods in the bottoms and give out condoms. Those are the same neighborhoods we used to walk to get people to see if we can get them to register to vote. But a lot of women, and I've been there, which is why I'm celibate. A lot of women, and the thing is, a lot of times you don't know. Sometimes you overlook the signs just for the mere fact of someone showing you attention. But a lot of men are still on the DL. And that's sad because if you're going to be gay, just be gay. No one cares. If you don't care, no one else cares. But a lot of men are still on the DL. And I say that not because I'm just talking, right? Um, I dated Byron Hicks. He's out of Cashmere Garden. And he's gay. I don't know if he's still on the DL, but in 2021, 2022, he was still on the DL. Um, and a lot of it has to do with control, someone trying to control you, try to convince you. Um, when I think back, a lot of conversations we had about, um, I remember he asked me about, or if I had ever gone to a swingers party, and naturally I haven't. Um, and he's been right, right out the blue. I remember he called someone on his phone, so he always had a man that he was having sex with while he was dating me, and he went to prison for 2 years. And I'm not saying that everyone who goes to prison is gay or become gay or do anything in that way because I can't speak for anyone. Um, but if you're already a bisexual, then party's on when the lights go out. And I'm saying this because of the stories that he shared with me. I remember he was telling me how a girl he was talking to, he had convinced her to go to a swingers party. And I said, "So what happened with that girl?" And he was like, "Yeah, somebody must have got to her. Yeah, somebody probably took her from me." Nah, because if she saw you giving head or giving up your ass, that would have done it for her. Excuse my French. Because I remember when he said to me one night, he was like, let's go to the swingers party. And I was like, okay, but I'm not doing anything. Well, he wasn't concerned with me doing anything. This is what he asked me. So what do you want to see me do? And I'm like, damn, this nigga's serious. I said, listen, don't ask me nothing. I don't, that was, and as much as I want to say that was it wasn't it. Because that night he ended up, well, let me tell you how the story went. After he asked me, what do you want to see me do? And that moment, I knew he was gay, which I should have known with all the other suggestions, but maybe I wasn't willing to accept it. I don't know what I was feeling at the time. But when he asked me, I said, "Hey man, don't ask me nothing like that, because I'm not finna tell you what I know." So we were sitting in his truck, and we were just sitting there. Nothing was being said. And I said, "So you want to have sex with a man?" And he said yes. So I was sitting on the passenger side of his truck, and I got out of his truck and went home, went in my house. When he left, shortly after he left my house, he got pulled over, and he went to jail. I found out about 4 days later because I hadn't heard from him. And my daughter was like, "Well, maybe, Mama, you should see online if maybe he got pulled over or something happened." And sure enough, when I finally located him downtown, he was waiting on the Bluebird bus, right? Um, so I learned a lot from that relationship. This is also the same guy who knocked me out, who fought me in my house and knocked me out when I came to. Um, I grabbed the pocket knife on my table. I was still on my knees when he had me by my hair, and closed my eyes and just tried to stab him. I ended up cutting him, but I went to jail that day. Yeah. Cop said he didn't believe me. I had 2 knots in my head from him hitting me. The first blow knocked me out, so. Um, but I learned that I could take a lot, and I would never put myself in a position where I needed to take a lot from a man. A man will show you who he is. And you're probably saying, "Well, a woman will too." She will, but I'm not speaking about a woman because I'm a woman and I don't date women. I'm talking about the opposite sex. A man will show you who he is. You're not gonna turn a hoe into a husband. It's not gonna work. You can't make him love you the way you need to be loved if he's never experienced it, right? It's funny because I remember my dad calling me, and he must have felt it in his spirit. And this was months before it happened. My father hadn't even died yet. But I remember my dad called me, and he said, "Hey, what you doing?" And I was somewhere in Atascocita, right? And he said, "You know what? Do you own a gun?" I said, "No, I don't own a gun." Still to this day, I don't own a gun. He said, "You're going to have to make somebody get off you," right? And I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, right? Because my dad knew that it was going to happen. So I said, "Okay." He said, "Yeah, you're going to have to get a gun because you're going to have to make," and these were my daddy's words. My dad said, "You're going to have to make a motherfucker get off you." So that day, I went to a couple of pawn shops, right? Went to a pawn shop, and I walk in there, and you know, my dad has owned 4, 5, 6 guns at one time. Uh, and I don't know, I um, never really wanted to hurt anyone. So buying a gun was just never something that I ever wanted. And I know people don't buy guns to hurt people. They buy them to just in case they need to protect themselves. But some people buy them because they already have intentions of what they want to do to other people. Whatever. I don't know. But I go in the pawn shop and I'm looking around and I see these cute little guns. I see a pink one. And then I see this purple one with the black little handle. And I was like, oh, that's cute. So I said, Dad, what about this? That's my camera sound. So I take a picture, I send it to him. He said, no, you're going to have to make a motherfucker get off you. Right? He said that 22 won't do it. He said that 22 won't do it. So I was like, okay, Dad, I'll get something. And he's like, okay, make sure you get something. Right? So my dad died, go on. Years passed. My dad died March 27, 2019, but this was 2014 when he said it, right? And it's funny because I just started dating Byron in 2014. I want to say 2013, but it was 2014. So my dad said it shortly after. And I don't know why, but he said it. Well, I mean, I know why he said it because he said I'm gonna have to make him get off me. So we fast forward, and my father's deceased. And right after my dad died is when Byron became physically abusive. I remember, now at the time, I owned Clark Transport, and I talked to truckers every day. And I think I was trying to purchase a truck or sell a truck. Oh no, I was trying to sell a truck at that time. No, I think I was looking to book low. I was looking for owner operators. And in the process of talking to owner operators, I ended up talking to someone about a truck that they were selling. And I don't remember what type of truck it was, but I remember Byron was there. We were in my room. I'm talking, I'm doing business as usual. Um, Never uplifting me when I look back. Just sitting there. Just there like a lump on a log, not lifting me up. And I think sometimes where I would be with my trucking company had he lifted me up or had he not been there. Either way, I take full responsibility and blame, which is why it's just me and God. It's just me and God, not me, a preacher, and God, just me and God. I don't need a preacher. I don't need a preacher ever. I never needed a preacher. All right. I go to church to fellowship. I go to Lakewood to fellowship. Right. I go to places where I'm welcome. Right. If I'm not welcome, I'm not coming. So I go to church to fellowship. But I never needed a preacher to get me to God. And that's what I love about Lakewood. People who go to Lakewood, they already know who God is for themselves. They come to worship, fellowship, get things off their chest. Because Monday to Monday is tough. You have to deal with a lot, right? So you go to church to unload, right? I fall on my knees and unload. Yeah. So I'm going to share this with you. You have to know what you want. And once you determine or decide what you want, if you are a woman, let him find you. Drop all the roles that we've adopted over time because it makes us look more like a man than a woman. And I get it, I understand, right? A lot of men walked away. A lot of men didn't want to be responsible. Some men wanted to be responsible but didn't want the fight from the woman, right? That was my dad. My dad wanted us, he wanted me, but my mom wanted to fight. Now they fought before I was born from what I hear, but I know what I saw. And my daddy wanted to be in our lives, and my mom just wasn't having it. She wasn't having it. And it was the worst thing she could have ever done. What my mom should have done when she decided to leave, she should have left us at home with my father. You go out in them streets because that's where you want to be. You just happen to have 4 kids. So, my father, I love him. He was good to me. And he was the only man that ever loved me. Right. And going back to Byron, after my dad died, he just became so enraged. Right. Just enraged. I'm like, why? You never done anything for me. Why are you mad? Then oh, see, now you sitting right here and you see the blessings coming. But you were never a blessing to me. I thought you loved me. You loved the idea of me, but you are homosexual. And I get it. When as a kid, I didn't know what love was. And I wasn't receiving the type of love I thought I needed. And I went over there in your community. I did. It's a regret, and I can never change it. But God knows. I get it. So if you're going to be gay, just be gay. Just be gay. Don't come over here messing with women and having sex with women and then using no condom. And then you over there having sex with him and you bring that disease over here, but you're not going to the doctor. See, that's why black women are leading in HIV cases. Because she going to the doctor on a regular basis. This is not all women, but this is the majority of women. We go once a year. Excuse me. And if there's something going on, we have to go back. But for the most part, we're going once a year. I got to get our AIDS test. We got to get our syphilis test. Oh, speaking of which, when you go to the doctor, don't go to the doctor and just get tested for HIV. Your penis burning, your vagina discharging. No matter what you do in the bathroom, you just stink. Those are all indications of having an STD. So when you go to the doctor and they're going to say, hey, what's going on today? And you say, hey, I just need STD tests. Something just not right. Get tested for everything. Don't go in there and get tested for one thing. And then you find out you have these other diseases that you didn't get tested for. The man went in there and got tested for HIV and syphilis. Well, he was negative of those 2 things, but he had 2 other things. So when you go, get tested for everything. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have been waiting to come on here, but I don't want to just come on here and be rattling. Thank you for tuning in to Paula's Purse. If you ever want to be a part of what I got going on, let me know, and I will bring me to you. God bless. Peace.